Hello everyone, happy Monday or whatever day that it is that you are watching this video. My name is Kartika Butwar and welcome to episode 1 of the Creative Writing Laboratory. I'm so thrilled to collaborate with the Iowa Lakeside Lab on this really exciting new project that's very dear to my heart. I have 2 MFAs in creative writing. I've been really fortunate to have excellent mentors. I've taught writing to undergraduate students, children, and my new position will be teaching writing at Johns Hopkins University's Center for Talented Youth. And writing has enriched my life so incredibly, and I'm hoping to share that same gift with all of you. There are 2 main components to the Creative Writing Laboratory. So, the first one is the weekly video. So, every single Monday, we will be putting up a video where I'm going to share encouragement, tips, tricks, writing advice, and just some of what I've gleaned from a decade of trying to master my craft. I'm going to try and do interviews with some writers. I have some really exciting, wonderful poets and novelists in mind right now. So hopefully we'll get to chat with them as well. During these weekly videos, I will also do a writing prompt. Throughout the rest of the week, we will be putting up a writing prompt on the Facebook page of the Lakeside Lab. Set a 7-minute timer and start writing. It doesn't matter if they're good, what you generate from them. It doesn't matter if you follow the prompt correctly. What matters is that you put the pen to the page and do not stop writing until that timer goes off. These prompts are purely generative. They are for you to gather material. They are for you to discover yourself, to empty yourself, to nourish yourself. And they will save you if you do them on a regular basis. That sounds strange, but I promise you it's true. Even if you're writing, I don't know what to write, that counts. That's all right. The important thing is that you don't stop writing. Don't think too much, don't think at all. Just put your pen to the page and write for those 7 minutes. The practice, the regular practice of doing these is what will make a huge difference. Do not, this is really important, do not judge what comes from them. Do not try and diminish yourself when you look at what comes from them. Now that we're done with discussing how these workshops will be run, let's get to today's topic. Today's topic is why not to write, which might seem counterintuitive, but just go with me. Every single writer, no matter what stage of their career, whether they're beginners, whether they've been doing this for 50 years, or they're like me, somewhere in the middle, go through a period of doubt, several periods of doubt perhaps, and wonder whether they should be writing at all. So let's address some of the reasons that I think are the most common when people are questioning whether they should write or not. The one that comes up first and most often is fear. Maybe you're afraid of failure. Maybe you're afraid of what will emerge when you write. Maybe you're afraid of starting. Well, so am I, frankly. Every single day, every single time I sit down to write, I definitely face fear. And that's okay. In his book, The War of Art, excellent book by the way, Stephen Pressfield talks about fear. And he talks about Henry Fonda, who was still throwing up. He was so afraid before each and every single performance that he was still throwing up. He was still throwing up right before he went on stage, even when he was 75 years old. The thing is, though, he still went ahead and did it, right? In other words, Stephen Pressfield says, fear does not go away. The warrior and the artist, the writer, live by the same code of necessity, which dictates that the battle with fear must be won anew every single day. And so The gist of this is that you do not have to rid yourself of fear. You have to acknowledge that fear is important. Fear shows us what is most important, what matters to us, and you must do it despite fear. In short, I recommend ruling fear out as a reason not to write. Fear isn't a good reason to stop yourself from doing anything, as I've learned and as I have to remind myself pretty often, actually. Another reason you might be hesitant to start writing is time. Maybe you don't have the time. I completely understand and I completely empathize, but that's why we have the 7-minute timers. You can do anything for 7 minutes. No matter who you are, no matter what your responsibilities are, you owe yourself 7 minutes a day, all right? And don't feel like you have to follow the prompts and complete them as soon as they show up. I would recommend picking a time of the day. For some people, mornings work best. Many writers do morning pages. The first thing when they wake up, they do a prompt. I prefer afternoon or evening pages. I'm pretty useless in the morning. Up to you. Pick a time, 7 minutes, sacred 7 minutes. Really, really, those minutes are for you to express yourself, to nourish yourself, to discover yourself. Those are just for you. Another thing that people tend to worry about is that they don't know what to write about. So, most of us will only know what we have to say when we start, when we put the pen to paper. There is magic in this, in putting the pen to paper or the fingers to the keyboard, as the case may be. Something arises from nothing. You discover what you knew. You discover that you have so much to say. I promise there is magic in that moment of beginning. John Burroughs used to say, leap and the net will appear. And this is true for writing too. Once you start and as you keep going, you will discover that you have so much to say and so much to offer. Some people worry that their lives or ideas aren't interesting enough, novel enough. Well, the thing about writing is that in the process of writing, there's this transmutation. You can turn the ordinary, the mundane, into something exquisite, powerful, and beautiful. So just begin. Even if you think you don't have anything interesting to write about or you don't know what to write about, you will discover it as you keep going. Here's another one I hear a lot. Some people think, I'm just not good enough to do this. That maybe they're not good enough to devote this time to themselves and their writing. This is categorically untrue. There will always be somebody who resonates with your words, with what you have to say. And even more importantly, it's important for you to do this if you have even the slightest desire to do it. Most writers, just so you know, most writers are not good. Their first drafts are not good. That takes polishing and editing and revision and a long process that you don't see when you read the finished product. So, generative time is not the time to worry about being good. And finally, why do we have to be good all the time, right? Mary Oliver's famous poem, Wild Geese, talks about this. She says, I'm going to read this to you. You do not have to be good. You do not have to walk on your knees for 100 miles through the desert repenting. You only have to let the soft animal of your body love what it loves. I say the same about writing, right? Okay, let's get started with the first prompt, and I'm gonna do it with you. I'm gonna grab a pen and a piece of paper. Your prompt is, I want you to write badly. I want you to write as terribly as you can. Spend 7 minutes writing a really, really terrible piece of writing. It should not be good. I don't want you to try and be good. Your job is to free yourself to write very, very badly for 7 minutes. Okay, let's begin. I'm setting my timer. And that's it. We're done. Good job. That one was hard for me today. Every day it's different, right? Some days the 7 minutes goes so quickly. Today it dragged out forever. That's fine, as long as you do it. Let's end with the Mary Oliver poem we looked at earlier, just as a little bit of encouragement and to remind us that during this pandemic too, we live in a spectacular, beautiful world, and none of us is alone. All right, Mary Oliver's Wild Geese. You do not have to be good. You do not have to walk on your knees for 100 miles through the desert repenting. You only have to let the soft animal of your body love what it loves. Tell me about despair, yours, and I will tell you mine. Meanwhile, the world goes on. Meanwhile, the sun and the clear pebbles of the rain are moving across the landscapes, over the prairies and the deep trees, the mountains and the rivers. Meanwhile, the wild geese, high in the clean blue air, are heading home again. Whoever you are, no matter how lonely, the world offers itself to your imagination, calls to you like wild geese, harsh and exciting, over and over announcing your place in the family of things. Thank you very much for listening with me and writing with me. Take care of yourselves. Until next week. Bye.